The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
They come from a world where they're cared for and nurtured, they have resources, they're protected.
PhD psychologist James Garbarino has spent more than 20 years studying and writing about murderers. He's written several books, including Lost Boys, Why Our Sons Turn Violent. While Roger is half Asian, Garbarino believes one of the reasons the vast majority of rampage killers in the U.S. are young white men is because their mental illness is mixed with an inflated ego.
The environment that they're in and the narcissism that they experience, all of that sort of predisposes them to take on these vendettas against their perceived enemies.
And that was a psychiatrist, people. A psychiatrist out in California who has studied the mechanisms of white supremacy, mainly dealing with some of these people who run out here and do mass shootings and mass murderers. You see, today's topic is about the over-masculinity of white males, the feminization of black males, and the toxic over-masculinity of women in general, and what's going on with that. You see, as I always say in my show, I try to look at the forest, not just the trees. You see, everything I do, I'm trying to show you the trees, but the trees make up a total forest of systemic racism in this country. You see, on the first segment, we're going to talk about the reason why you got so many white males out here who got their chest stuck out with these AR-15s, these guns. Most of this is fear. They have a fear of black people. Mainly black men. They don't have no fear of black women. They have a fear of black men. You see, a white male can have a baby by a black woman, and eventually, if white males keep having kids by that white woman, eventually that child will continue to get lighter and lighter until that child turns out damn near white. So the object is destroy the black males, slow them down for reproducing. I'm gonna let that sit on your soul for a minute. Matter of fact, while that's sitting on your soul, I'm gonna get into my whiskey tasting. This is called the Kraken. Okay, this is called the Kraken. I went and talked to my guy Ali down at the liquor store, and he knows about my show. I gave him one of my cards, and every time I come in there on Friday to find a different, unusual liquor that I've never tried before, he usually pulls something out for me that looks interesting. And as you can tell, just like in that movie, Release the Kraken, the Clash of the Titans, it has an actual Kraken on the bottle, and it's spelled, for all my listeners on iHeartRadio and my podcaster who can't see my show, go to YouTube. I'm gonna start putting the description and the name of the liquor that I tasted for the show in the description below on YouTube. So if you follow me on any kind of podcasting station or iHeartRadio, if you want to see what exactly I'm doing, you can go to YouTube and check out my show, and you can see the bottle, see what it looks like, just in case you want to party and you want to try something different. So let's crack this baby open. It's 94 proof, people, so it's strong. This is a black spiced rum. Okay, a black spiced rum. We're gonna try this out. See what it. It smells spicy. It smells spicy. We're gonna try this out. And like I say, what I usually do is, once I do this liquor tasting, I put it in my cabinet downstairs for when family and friends come over. They want to try something different. They can have something to drink in there. But let's try this out, see what it is. Whew. Oh, Oh, that's harsh. It's harsh and spicy. It has a slight cinnamon taste to it. You can tell it's 94 proof too. Whoo. Oh my. If you want to get toasted at a party, this is all you need right here. This is all you need right here. This is strong. See, I drink brown liquor. I don't drink white liquor. White liquor, it doesn't do my stomach right. I'm gonna try this with a little Coke. Try this with a little Coke, see how it tastes before I give my rating on this. I get this about an 8.5. I get this about an 8.5. The taste is bad. It's harsh. Got a slight cinnamon taste to it, but when you add just a little bit of Coke with it, it's all right. It's all right. And like I said, this is all you need right here. It's 94 proof. This right here is it's a strong whiskey. It's a strong rum. Black is called the Kraken. Kraken. For all my guys on podcasts, iHeartRadio to listen to me, you can't see the film. It's a black spiced rum. And it's 94 proof, people. It's harsh. But let me get back into what I was talking about on the show. Okay. As I've always tell people, not all white people are racist and bigots. Let me put this in context for you, why you see such a high rise in the toxic over masculinity of white males. Number one, Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he signed the Civil Rights Bill. That's just like say America is a house. Inside of this house, you got a race of people who are white, who have been raised for decades, ever since this country was founded, to believe that they are the superior race than black people. Black people are nothing more than slaves and property. All of a sudden, a law is passed by the government that says move over in your house because these people are going to live in this house with you as equals. That causes resentment because there was never a conversation. There was never there was never a reckoning to that superiority complex. It was just done, which is good. I mean, it was good because a lot of us minorities are able to do shows like mine, go into the workplace and work besides whites and blacks and all other type of people. It was good in that sense, but it should have been something more done as far as open conversations, forums, and things of that nature. So basically what you got is a society of white people. Many of them are not racist now, but you got a society of white people who have grown over the decades and the years to have this ego, this narcissism in their mind that they are better than you. So why do I have to sit in a restaurant with you? Why do I have to watch you drive the same type of cars I drive? Why do I have to watch you make the same type of money that I make? And then they can't speak out about it. See, this is not the 50s and the 60s where a white person can call you the N-word, kick you in your rear end, and laugh about it. See, now, if that happens, you might get your ass whipped. Okay? So they had to bottle this up inside. And then when Obama became the president for 8 years, it exploded. The bigotry that was suppressed in some of these white males exploded. Now, there are racist white women out here. But the thing about the women is women are natural nurturers. Just like black women are natural nurturers because they have babies out of their womb. We men don't have a womb. So the white women are more like, let it go. The white men, they can't let it go. Not a lot of them. They don't have this understanding that all men are created equal. Some do. But there's a small percentage, maybe a 20%, 10%, 15% is a small percentage of white males in this country that can't let that go. I saw a brief video of a white man in the grocery store calling a black man a boy, daring him to do anything about it. And the black man had just had enough of it and swung on the guy, knocked him out, knocked him down, drug him across the floor. And you could see the panic in this white man's eyes because he didn't think nothing was going to happen to him. This is the kind of danger that a man like Donald Trump brings. You see, when I start my show, I take you on a journey from beginning all the way to the end, and I loop it around to connect the dots for you. That's why I always tell people, listen to the whole show. Don't just catch a couple of clips of it and blow it off like, he ain't talking about nothing. Listen to the whole show, because then you will start seeing and understanding the whole picture that I'm painting for you. Then you'll start understanding where I'm coming from. You see, these white males feel like, seriously, this is their country. No matter how much effort and hard work and sacrifice and bloodshed that we minorities have put into this country too, they have a feeling in their hearts and minds that this is their country and everybody here is just guests. Even the Native Americans, they feel like Native Americans are just guests. Craziness. But you got people out here who really feel this way. So I'm finna get a little further into this. Because I want y'all to get a full understanding of what's going on.
I will destroy you.
22-year-old Santa Barbara shooter Elliot Rodger joins a disturbing group of young male rampage killers that have a lot in common. Sandy Hook killer Adam Lanza, James Holmes, the Aurora movie shooter, the Columbine killers, and Jared Loughner from the Tucson massacre were all in their late teens to mid-20s at the time of their shootings. All of them grew up in relatively stable environments, except the Columbine shooters all attended at least some college, and all of them had mental health issues.
See, they threw that mental health issue in there. And basically what that mental health issue is just ego. You know, these white privileged men have sat back, listened to their uncles at the barbecue, listened to their fathers, talk about black people maybe in Chicago killing each other and how dangerous we are. We're not. I keep telling people all the time that Chicago is a special circumstance. And if I need to go into further detail, y'all got to understand Chicago is what you call the Mecca of all black gangs. New York is like the Mecca of all Italian and Jewish gangs. Y'all got to understand how this works. You see, in Chicago, most of the gangs that's black out in America got their start out of Chicago. Even the Crips and Bloods. I'm explaining that. Some of y'all didn't know that Tukey wasn't the only Crip that started the Crips. There was a young man, it was about 4 of them, but there was a young man out of Chicago who was a black Peace Stone that had went out to California and started living with his family, who took part in starting the Crips. So even the Bloods and the Crips had an influence out of the Chicago gangs. Chicago is like, white people always try to throw that up about black on black crime, and they always point to Chicago. Chicago was a different circumstance. Chicago is where the ringleaders of damn near most of the gangs in the United States that are black got their start from. When it goes up in Chicago, it goes up, period. Because most of the people all across this country who are black and involved in gang activity, they get their orders from local gang leaders, but the local gang leaders get their orders from Chicago. That's why Chicago is a different circumstance. What I always tell people is, give me another city. Tell me another city that all of this so-called craziness is going on. Most black people that are black men in this country are working. Period. They're out here doing and living life the right way. But let's get back on this over masculinity, this toxic over masculinity of white males. You see, Donald Trump is like he's like a spokesperson for these people. You see, they can't just go out here and say some of the things that Donald Trump say. They'll get fired from their job. They might get arrested by the police. They might get their face smacked off. That's why they love him. These people have pushed their religion, the Christianity religion, to the side. They pushed it to the side to follow up behind Donald Trump because of that fact of racism. They'll throw all kinds of excuses up about how he's good for the economy. He's putting judges that we want on the bench. All that's excuses. But a really true religious person who believes in God would never, ever follow up behind somebody like Donald Trump. Never. Some of these people are godless people in the beginning, anyway. They were saying they believe. They probably still go to church, you know. But a lot of these people, they're really not religious people for real, you know. But this over masculinity of white males is beginning to be a problem. I'm not saying not be masculine. I'm not saying being a man and vast in your manhood. I'm not saying that. But they're trying to overcompensate because they feel like they're being left behind. They feel like more men out here are dangerous than them. So they want to up it up a notch. And it's beginning to be a real problem. Let's go further into this.
Barrino also believes that young white men suffering from mental illness are kept afloat longer because of a more supportive environment, which allows their delusional anger and frustration to grow.
Now, if you listen and understood what the man just said, this is a psychiatrist. He's basically letting you know that these white males who are benefiting off of systemic racism, they're sheltered. They're watching Fox News and their favorite white supremacist senator or congressman get up here talking about how bad immigrants who are brown and black people are. And they're sitting there stewing in their hate, in the luxury of their own palaces or their own homes, when they don't have an understanding and realize that we suffer. We don't have the same economic scale that you have, the same economic opportunities that you have. You can lie all day long and say we do. You can lie all day long and say, man, you're free, you're not slaves anymore. Why you thinking like that? We still don't have the same economic opportunities that whites have in this country. Period. Like I said, I like to connect the dots to you to show you just a part of the picture. But there is a bigger picture. See, when we come back off this commercial break, I'm going to talk about the feminization of black males. You see, as the over toxic masculinity of white males rise with this egotistical, narcissistic behavior they got, on the other hand, they're feminizing black men. You got the rise of white supremacy and white males with this over-aggressive nature they got going on. And then you got the feminization of black men going on. And then you got the over-masculinity of women in general going on. I'm going to get to them later. But when we come back off this commercial break, we're going to talk about the feminization of black men. And then at the end of this whole program, I'm going to connect the dots to you and see why we got all of this craziness going on in this country. So stay tuned, people.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Damn, fool!
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
The black male image, how it is being effeminized for most people who may not know what that means. It's a I would say an imbalanced or an unsuitable
image,
personification, feminine personification by black males. Mm-hmm. So we find this problematic, especially when we see the black family unit and black family civilization in such disarray.
If whites are involved in their genetic survival and they are threatened by black male masculinity, then it will occur, I have to reduce his masculinity. Yeah, we just recently had the president at Morehouse have to say the male students cannot wear high heel shoes and dresses and carry purses. So something is happening, again, within the total context of a system of racism, white supremacy.
That lady right there is a powerful speaker. I followed some of her work, and I've caught some of her shows on YouTube, and she seen it back in the 70s. Her and Neely Fulton. She saw it. She saw it coming. You see, as white male aggression with all these guns and all of this aggressive behavior towards minorities on the rise, the feminization of black males is on the rise also. You see, I always tell this story right here. I always tell this story about how if something happened in this country where a real race war jumped off, the reason why they've placed the black female in the head of the household, all other cultures, the male in the family is still the head of the household. 72% of black children are raised in single parent homes. Okay? Those are dangerous numbers. You see, what happens is when I tell this story, people sit up and take notice. When I tell you this story, you see, the male is the knowledge of the family. The mother is the wisdom, and the child is understanding. You see, whites, Chinese, Japanese, Mexicans, all other races in this country, they still have a solid family structure. The father, the mother, the kids. The woman teaches her kids wisdom, the father teaches knowledge, and the child gets a complete understanding of life. When it comes to the black community, by feminizing a lot of black men, and pushing them to the side and pushing the black woman to the forefront, what you're doing is our kids that's being raised are not having a full understanding of life and the structure of life, because there is a structure. There is a structure. Okay? It's called a natural order. A natural order structure in life. Male lion, female lion. Male bear, female bear. Male human, female human. There's a natural structure. But once you place the black female at the forefront on everything dealing with the household, everybody else don't do it, you're throwing an imbalance in the black community. Listen what I'm saying, people. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again slowly. Whenever you push the black female at the head of every household, damn near, but everybody else still have the father as the head of the household, you're creating an imbalance in the black community, which is why you see a lot of this foolishness going on with us. I'm going to let that sink on your soul for a minute. Think about that. There's a cycle that's going on with us. Number one, when you see a white woman or a white father with them rifles out in the woods with their kids, teaching them how to hunt, you're not seeing Big Mama and them take their kids out in the woods and hunt. Big Mama and them gonna say, I don't want no guns in my house. If a group of white men kidnapped one of my kids and had a gun pointed to their head outside, listen to this story very carefully. If a group of white men who are racist had one of my kids outside and had a gun pointed to their head and they said, hey Marcus, give up. You and everybody in the house, give up. Come out. We got your son out here. We're going to kill him if you don't give yourself up. I'm looking at all three of my other kids. I'm going to make that call. I'm going to make that decision as the head of the household, as a man. I'm finna get my rest of my family to safety first. And then I'm going to come back and hunt the people down that got my son. Now, when you place the black woman at the head of the household, she has a wound that she had that son out of. She's going to roll the dice. They say, hey, Susie, come out the house. We got your son out here. We're going to kill him if you don't give yourself up and the rest of your family. She's going to open that door and pray that these people won't kill you. That's the difference. That's psychological. Think about what I just said. Rewind the tape back. Press pause, rewind the tape back, and relive and re-listen to what I just said. That's why having a strong male figure in your household who's knowledgeable to lead his household is a powerful thing. It's powerful. We are lacking in that. Let's go a little deeper into that.
Transcend the roles or to transcend the realm of strictly entertainment or movies and television, sitcoms and such. And now we see athletes involved and even those in other realms of entertainment.
Because I remember years and years ago, Dr. Neely Fuller predicted this back in the 70s. They said the pants are going to keep sagging down.
Yes, sir.
So they step out their pants and step into a dress.
Neely Fuller, who wrote the textbook for victims of racism a number of years ago, in the late mid-70s, he used to say in the system, because he was the first person to talk about racism as a system, and he said that as the system of racism, white supremacy moves on, the system is going to have black men wearing dresses. Now, to hear that in the 70s, people said, oh, this is way out.
Now that's deep, people. That's deep. They saw this coming in the 70s. And I'm going to tell you why they saw it coming in the 70s. All you got to do is go look back on some of those clips of the 60s and the 50s. When we were fighting for equal justice and civil rights in America for black people, you saw men at the head of that fight. That's not saying women didn't stand beside their men. That's not saying women weren't there. But the majority of those pictures you see were strong, powerful black speakers, strong, black, powerful black men. King, Malcolm X, even some white men stood up. The Kennedys, Bobby and John F. Kennedy stood up. Even the Kennedys were loved by black people. I talked about how the Kennedys was the ones that got minorities to start voting Democrat. And all the races that was in the Dixie Democrats back then left the Democrat Party and went over to the Republican Party. They had a structure they put together called a Southern Strategy. See, a lot of people forget their history. So now you got a situation where black men are being feminized in movies. All these people wearing these dresses, acting like females, coonery. Then on the flip side of that, you got black females becoming masculine because they have to be, because they're raising their kids by themselves. A lot of our black men are being incarcerated. It's the start of the cycle. It's starting a cycle. You see, they wasn't going to make a mistake like they did in the 50s and 60s with all of these black men standing up for equal rights. It's been decades-long campaign to demoralize black men, feminize them, incarcerate them, push them to the side, push the black female to the forefront of the family structure because we can deal with her. Whether we got to deal with her through money or deal with her through force. Because there's one thing we always got on her, is her kids. And even though we black men have kids too, we didn't birth those kids. So that means we still love our kids, but my outlook on dealing with you is going to be different. You kidnap one of mine and tell me to turn over my whole family, I'm going to pray to God that he survives, get the rest of my family to safety, and then I'm coming to hunt you down. And if my child is still alive, he's still alive. If he's not, I'm going to make sure you get buried right next to my child because you killed him. I might not even bury you. I might leave you out somewhere and let the crows have you. See, that's the difference. That's the difference. There's a push going on in our society to demoralize the black male. Make them seem like they criminals, feminine, homosexual, all of that. I had a lady friend of mine who used to come by the house, and every time we kicked it, she would turn on one of her favorite shows, and it always had some gay stuff in it. I'm not gay bashing. Not gay bashing at all. Whatever you choose to do in your personal life, that's your business. It doesn't affect me one way or another. My thing is, there's a push that's going on in the black community to feminize black men. and emasculate black women. You can even see it in some of these black women. I did a show about 2 weeks ago about some of these black women who are riding with white supremacy. Candace Owens, Omarosa, Katrina Pearson. You got these 2 new females done came out, black females. You got Silk and Diamond running around here coonery, following up behind Donald Trump. You see, all of them women right there, you can already tell they have no inkling or thought of making a black man the head of their household. Period. I promise you. Omarosa probably the only one that's married to a black man. And I'm willing to guarantee you, regardless of whether she married to that black man or not, she's the head of her household. I'm almost willing to guarantee it. That means he has stepped back and has taken the beta role in a relationship. This is some deep stuff. And I like to talk about it. I like to get it out the way. I'm not here to hold your hand. Some of y'all ain't gonna like what I'm saying. I'm gonna give y'all a story. I dated a girl one time. She had 3 kids. She had 2 boys and a daughter. Her boys were so scared of her. She would come home from work and start screaming. The little girl, she wouldn't bother her. She was just as nasty as the rest of the kids. She would leave dishes all in her bedroom for days to where flies be on it. I mean, just nasty, trifling. Her daughter was like 16. Her 2 boys was like 13 and 12 or something like that. And I had to pull her up and tell her one day, hey man, stop treating them little boys like they nothing. She said, what do you mean? I said, you scream and holler at them boys like they less than nothing. You don't say nothing to your daughter. That little girl would leave her clothes all over the house, and you would just pick them up and put them in the clothes hamper. But one of these boys do something that you don't like, you would scream and holler at them. Slap them all on the back of their head. It was sad. And you know what she told me her excuse was? She got to be hard on them because she's raising them by herself. I stepped back and I looked at her. I said, what am I here for? That let me know that she really didn't think too highly of me neither. Think about what I just said. Me and her been together for 3 or 4 months. She told me to my face, I got to raise my boys by myself. And the first thing went through my mind was, what the hell am I here for? Basically, I was just here for sex and to help her with a few bills. That's it. Think about that, people. I'm a grown-ass man. I done raised kids. If I'm in your life, you ain't got to raise your kids by yourself. What do you mean by that? We got to get this understood in the communities. And I'm finna talk about the black females. I'm actually talking about females in general. But there's something going on with the white females and the black females that's slightly different. Like I said, I like to connect the dots. I started off talking about the toxic over-masculinity of white males, the toxic feminization of black males, and at the end, when I get to the females, black and white females, how they're being over-masculinated. When I get through with all of this, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So stay tuned to the end. Stay tuned to the end, people. because you're going to have a full understanding of what I'm talking about. We'll be back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Me and Bae gon' always be tight, though you not with me every single day and night. Even when they start to acting like a fool, yeah, they loving every single thing you do. You know that they can always be themselves. They love each other more than anybody else. And every day as you see them on YouTube, you know there's not one, it'll always be just two. Two stupid Emily, two stupid Emily, two stupid family. They'll make you scream. It makes me wanna sing. It's a family thing, a family. Two stupid family, stupid family. They'll push your buttons. It makes me wanna cry. It's a family thing, a family. Two stupid family.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Now, getting into why women would have a problem with true masculinity. One of the things is we have a situation now where women are going for straight power. And in fact, according to pimps, if you read a book, it's called Black Players, The Secret World of Black Pimps. They'll say, they always saw the world as a secret matriarchy. And in conversations with men and women from other cultures, I mean, we always talk about the matriarchy in the black community, but there's a secret matriarchy in other places. So, because of that, any man that's standing up all of a sudden becomes an enemy. In so many ways. Because the world is a certain order that's needed in the world. I don't care what your religious background is, spiritual, philosophical thing. You need men to be men and women to be women. No, I'm not a fan of that whole concept of gender fluidity and all that crap. I'm just going to be straight up with you. There's a reason things work. And anybody who calls himself religious or believe whatever your path is, fact of the matter is there's still a natural way. And much of the problems in society is because we've gotten out of it.
Now, I like what this guy said. Let's dissect that. Let's dissect that, people. You see, what this guy's just basically saying is, like I said earlier, there's an order, a natural order in life. The father or the man in the household is the knowledge. The female, the woman of the household, is the wisdom. And the child gets understanding, a complete understanding in life from both parents. Whenever you snatch the male part out because they're being too dominant, and you have this fear, this white fear that the black men are going to rise up again like in the civil rights, so you demoralize him, feminize him, criminalize him, and then you place and start making this push to push black females to the forefront of the black family structure. Now what you got going on is an imbalance. An imbalance in the mind state, the physical state of our kids. It's an imbalance in the physical state because I know a girl right now, every time I go visit them and kick it with them, play cards at their house, her girls are like little boys. They tough as hell. Her little boy, I don't even know how to describe it. He's still running around here trying to play with baby dolls. He's a boy. I even went so far as to go to Family Dollar and buy him a truck because I knew I was going by there. I gave him the truck. He looked at it. He wasn't even excited about it. It was a fire truck. He wasn't even excited about it. You know, he looked at it a little bit, set it down. he went and got this Raggedy Ann looking doll. It looks like I don't know. See, I'm older than some of y'all out here that probably listen to my show. I'm 44 years old, but I'm not old. But I'm old enough to remember Raggedy Ann and Andy. He has this little baby doll that looks like a Raggedy Ann doll that he walks around with. This little boy is like 7 years old. I said something a couple of times, and everybody was like, man, leave him alone, man. Leave him alone. You know, it ain't my place. She not my woman. She's my friend. We go over there. Her house is like where we play cards at. It ain't my business. The over masculinity of women, just like the over masculinity of these white males, the feminization of black males, all of that combined is creating a problem in this country. And it's coming to a head. This problem is about to bump heads in this country. Like the man just said, you got a lot of women out here who feel like they have no need for a black male. Unless, of course, he's a millionaire. You know, you got that show that I like called, they do pranks on gold diggers. You know. But you got a lot of people out here in the black community, black women, who feel like, I can get it by myself. And see, I also talked about how there's 15 women in America to every black male. But I'm finna get into the meat and potatoes when it come down to the females. Now, this is going to mess y'all up. Listen to me very carefully how this is being played out. You got the over masculinity of white males because they have fear of black men. You have the feminization of black men in this country because of our society, how our society is set up to demoralize black men. Push them out the way. They're too dangerous. Then you got the toxic over masculinity of black women. Now, this is going to mess some of y'all up. White women are being over masculated too. But the reason why you don't see them acting exactly like black women is because you have the over masculinity of white men. Think about that for a second. White men, white women. Black men, black women. White men are being over masculinated. The white women are becoming over masculated too. But they have to compete with these over masculated white men, so it's suppressing them. You got black women who are being pushed to the forefront of the black family. So they're becoming over-masculated. And then you got black males who are being feminized in our society. So what's happening is black males are starting to hook up with white females. Now we got somewhere. See how I like to connect the dots for you? A friend of mine called me up one day. She said, you should do a show on why black men choose white women over black women. I already had the answer in my head. She didn't know it. I tried to explain it to her. I said, guess what? You ain't been with a man in a couple of years. I don't need no man. I can do it by myself. I'm trying to get my money. That's what she said right after she got through telling me I should do a show on why black men get with white women. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. I asked my homegirl, I said, hey, you know, you ain't dated in a while, man. You can raise your kids by yourself. I don't need nobody. I don't need no man. I ain't gotta have no man in my life to get money. I can do it by myself. You see, she was mad because she saw a black guy who was happy with a white woman. She couldn't understand it. She caught a whole attitude about it. I just sat there and took you through the whole cycle of what's going on in this country. That's not the only reason why a lot of black men are starting to choose white women, but it's a small part of it. I'm not saying love don't have nothing to do with it, because it does too. You be with who you want to be with if you feel it in your heart. Understand what I'm telling y'all. But there are a lot of people out here in the black community, black men, who are getting tired of being feminized and pushed to the side for a child support check. So they're starting to deal with other races of women. Because like I said, all of those other races of women in this country still look at the man as the head of their household. Think about that. I just brought everything back to a circle, full circle, 360 degrees. I just brought it all the way back for you. In the black community, 72% of our black children are raised in single parent homes. I just told you that there's a toxic over masculinization of black women and white women. But the white women are being suppressed by the over masculinity of white men. Because if it wasn't for that, if the white men were being feminized like the black men are being feminized, white women and black women would be acting more the same, or like what's going on today. But since you got this racist, rampant over masculinity of white men, the women in our society are being pushed into being like the superheroes. You starting to see it in the movies. You starting to see it in the chick flicks. Any kind of movie you see a strong white woman lead. You got some gay black guy who is her best friend she goes to for advice. They're sitting on a couch having a chit chat about life, and he's snapping his head, snapping his fingers, acting gay. Think about what I'm saying, people. I had a homegirl in my house the other day. Every time she come over here, let me turn on my favorite show. There was this show about drag queens. It had a mostly male cast about drag queens in the 70s living in apartments. They had a mother of the house. All of these are men now, black men and Latino men. And she loved this show. She'd sit there and watch hours of it. Then she'd turn on other shows like Power and you know, they got all of these homosexual black men. Then she scanned through her phone and saw a black man who had a tuxedo top with a dress on the red carpet. I'm sitting on the couch watching television with her. She playing with her phone, and I happen to look over there. I said, man, what you looking at? She said, look at this. I just shook my head. I'm like, man, that's crazy. She said, why? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? It's something wrong with that. There are a lot of gay white men out here. You don't see them running around here with no tuxedo dress. I'm trying to get y'all to understanding how this works. And I'm hoping y'all following along with me, because I'm trying to get y'all to understand how this is working. You got the white males, because of racism, who got this extra bravado, sticking their chests out with the Confederate tattoo flags on, and the AR-15s, the Proud Boys, you know, skinheads, running around with all of this over masculinity because they feel like this country is theirs. Everybody else here is just guests, allowed to be here because of them. Then you got the feminization of black men in this country. There's a push for it. Then you got all women across the spectrum being pushed into a masculine role. But the reason why the black women are more affected by it is because there's a push to feminize black men. You see, even though all women of all races are being pushed into a more masculine role, that push is being put in check because of the over masculinization of white men. So what's happening is you got a lot of dudes out here in the black community who are choosing to get along and be happy with a white woman. I got a partner of mine. I like to bring real life situations and stories to my show. I'm not going to say his name. A lot of people on my Facebook page are going to know who I'm talking about, especially if you, my friend, been knowing me for over 20 years. I'm at a Super Bowl game party at my partner's house. And we watching the game. And his girlfriend at the time was black. They went to high school together, high school sweethearts. She came by the house, beat on the door. He opened the door for her. She came in. Now, mind you, it's 6 men in the house. She's the only female in the house. She want to talk about some stuff that could have waited. Really, what was going on was she wanted to spend some time with him, but he's trying to let her know, man, look, this is a Super Bowl night. They arguing. She's standing in front of the TV. She want to talk to him. It's 6 men in the house. She's being overly aggressive. Instead of her saying, you know what, when this football game is over with, call me, because I'm going to come back here. I need to talk to you. Instead of her doing that, she's getting all wild and crazy. It looked like she was kind of drunk. He said, you know what? Come on, it's time to go. He opened his door, tried to kick her out the house. She fell to the ground and sat on the ground and said, I ain't going nowhere. You tell them to leave. He grabbed her by her ankles and tried to drag her out the house. It was a big argument. She held on to the door frame. The football game is a wash. We couldn't even watch the game. All this drama going on. I was like, man, look, I'm finna go. So I got up. A couple of my other homeboys got up. We started walking out the door. She went and grabbed a rock in his yard, picked it up, and threw it through his front window. Okay. We all left. Their relationship lasted maybe another year. It was toxic. It was toxic, people. When I say their relationship was toxic, every weekend or every other day they was fighting and arguing about something. You know, if it wasn't the kids, it was always something. So they wound up splitting apart. She wound up getting with this lame dude. See, my partner was a masculine male, and he was the head of his household. She wound up getting with a dude that was a drunk. All he do was sit on the couch. He didn't do no work, and he was just there. He might sold a little drug, a little weed, but no count whatsoever. Okay, my partner he got with this white woman. He met her on his last year of college because he was going to school to be a school teacher. And his last year of college, he met this white woman, got with her. They've been together for almost 16, 17 years. No problems. None whatsoever. He the head of his household. He got 2 more kids by this white woman. They got a big, beautiful house. Came up together. No problems. His first baby mama, the one that he was into it with all the time, the one that was toxic, overly masculated, in and out of relationships, constantly beefing, fighting all in the streets with her baby daddy, boyfriends, and all that. It was just crazy. Like I said, there's a push to feminize black men and emasculate black women. All women are being emasculated, period. All women are being pushed to take a more front stance in life, which ain't no problem with that. But you can still be a mother and a feminine woman and still pay homage to your man as the head of your household and still run your own business. You see, that's where the confusion is happening at. That's where the confusion is happening at. You got white women who are still running their businesses and still handling their business, but they're married and have their white male husbands at the head of the household. The black female is getting to the point where they're feeling like if a man is at the head of the household, they can't successfully have a business. They can't successfully do what they want to do. That's a lie. You can still be successful and still be in line with nature, with what's going on in nature. I'm hoping I'm getting to understand. I'm hoping some of y'all understanding where I'm coming from. I'm not advocating that women be at home, laying on their back, having babies every year. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm trying to tell y'all is step back and look around. It's all around you. What's going on? You got more and more and more and more black females who are trying to take an aggressive male role in life. Let's go a little further into this.
Because she was told by a veteran of that movement, so to speak. He said a lot of times there's many women just scared of men. That's the issue. They scared of men. And I can understand the violent part, but like I said in my video yesterday, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, And it's gotten to the extreme that if a man even stands up and just tries to be righteous, women are trying to break him down. And I've seen that happen a lot of times. A man try to stand up on principle, just on something simple like what to buy around the house or the direction, and the woman's undermining him. And she thinks she's doing something until it come a case when she can't handle the situation. Then she looking at her husband or man or whoever like he should handle it. But it's like, no, you spend time breaking them down. And part of that trying to soften the man, a lot of women will soften their sons. A lot of women will soften their sons to try to make them into what they think is the ideal man.
Now, again, I like how this guy talks because he has an understanding of what's going on. You see, he's like me. He sees the big picture. I don't just look at the individual trees. I'm seeing the big picture of what's going on. And for that young lady, my homegirl who asked me that question, why all these black men running around here with these white women instead of choosing a black female, listen to my show. I just gave you the complete cycle of what's going on. You have an over-masculation of white males. You have a feminization of black males. And then you have an over-toxic masculation of females in general. But the white women are being suppressed a little bit because of the over-masculinization of white males. There is no suppression when it comes to the black female. They all out here, wide open. I know black females rather sleep on somebody's couch and act like a bum than get with a man and have a decent life, because she really don't want no man to be the head of her household, but you ain't got no household. You know, you living like a bum. That's scary. Think about what I just said. I know another female living with her mama. She could have a kid. She could. I know a dude that like her, that'll put her in a beautiful big old house, marry her and everything. She don't want that. She rather get it on her own. That way she can be the head of the household. Craziness, foolishness. I'm gonna get into this last clip because this is important.
You try to control what you feel. So, you know, that's one problem with it. But see, one thing with it though, a woman's nature is emotional and chaotic. And it's supposed to be that way. But see, it's balanced off by the man who's supposed to be logical, in control of his emotions, and bring order.
Now, that was deep. Again, the man is knowledge, the woman is wisdom, and the child is understanding. There's an imbalance going on in the black community. Let me explain to you what the knowledge part brings. The knowledge part, when it comes to men, like he said, is to outthink your opponent, is to fix that bike outside when your child has a flat tire. My pops used to lay on the couch reading the newspaper, and when I go in the bathroom and take a piss, he'll say, "Hey, you wash your hands?" "No, sir." "Go back in there and wash your hands." And now, to this day, I can go in anybody's bathroom and it's automatic. Automatic. I'm washing my hands. Cutting grass. You know, go out there and start that lawnmower up. Take that garbage out. And go out there and cut that grass. You got women out here raising kids. They don't even cut their own grass. I had a girl I dated. She had a 14-year-old son. He always asking me for a couple of dollars. "Oh, Marcus, you got a couple of dollars?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'll give you a couple of dollars, man. You got to go out there and cut that grass." Back in my day, you didn't get paid to cut that grass. You live here. Man, get out there and cut that grass. Paying you, you might get your ass whooped. You talking about some payment. Better go out there and cut that grass, period. That same female that I'm talking about, I told her daughter to go in there and wash dishes. I said, "It's your turn to wash dishes." She acted like she didn't hear me. She said, "Leave him alone. I'll wash the dishes later." That's what I'm saying. The men bring discipline and knowledge to the household. Discipline is the key thing that we missing. The woman bring wisdom. And let me explain the wisdom part. Slickness. How to be sneaky. Because women are naturally more sneakier than men. You need to watch that guy right there. He ain't moving right. That's a woman's intuition. He ain't moving right. So what you got in the black community is 72% of our black children are being raised in single parent homes. So that means they're getting all of this wisdom from their mothers on how to move slick in the streets, on how to move slick, period. But they don't have any knowledge. They don't have any discipline from the father. All the other races in this country still have the majority of solid households. So while their mother is teaching them the slickness of the wisdom part, the father is teaching them discipline and the knowledge part. That's why a lot of these other kids out here, whites and blacks and Chinese, Japanese and Mexicans, are looking at some of our black youth and like, something ain't right. That's why a lot of our black youth out here are moving like sidewinders, moving like snakes. Not because their mothers are teaching them criminality, not because their mothers are teaching them how to be criminals, but because their mothers are imparting on them wisdom. Wisdom comes with how to be slick, but they're lacking in the discipline. That's the key. I'm finna end this show, and I hope y'all learned something from that. I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Bring in the business.